Hello, everybody. Back for another review, and this time we're going to do part 4 of the Evil Dead franchise. So we've already looked at Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy. Now it's time to talk about the one movie in the franchise that was, well, let's just say it's kind of got its ups and downs, and at the same time, it's kind of got a bit of a polarized response. And this is the 2013 Evil Dead. Now, remake or not, anyway, let's get into that momentarily. Evil Dead is a horror thriller that came out back in 2013 and basically is often looked at as essentially a remake of the original film. But instead of it being like, basically a blatant shot for shot like Psycho was or say The Omen, Evil Dead does something a little different. We have 5 young friends who basically are trying to help a young girl, Mia, played by Jane Levy. That's her there on the front cover. Basically, she is a drug addict, and they're trying to help her kick the habit completely. So they try to keep her isolated at the cabin. But of course, they discover, the Necronomicon in the basement, and of course, one of them is curious enough to open the book and begin to recite the passages. And before you know it, the evil spreads once again, and now the friends are forced to combat each other in order to survive the night. So yeah, the plot is somewhat similar to the original. The plot is somewhat similar to the original movie, except in the original film, the 5 kids are going up to the cabin for a vacation. But in the remake, however, they're doing it just to help a girl kick her drug habit, which is a respectable move, which I give them that. So yes, for often the remake is often looked at as obviously inferior to the original film. But honestly, I have to give it some merits. I mean, even when I first heard about Evil Dead getting a remake, I was like, "You got to be kidding me! They're remaking Evil Dead." And if I'm personally am not a big fan of remakes. I mean, there's a few that I actually have enjoyed over the years. Like in the '80s, we had 3 really good ones. We had The Thing, we had The Fly, and we had The Blob. And then Night of the Living Dead, the 1990 version, actually was a pretty solid remake. And then House on Haunted Hill, I thought had a good one. 13 Ghosts, I thought was good. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dawn of the Dead. All, I thought, were solid remakes of their original counterpart. And then, of course, I Spit on Your Grave, which, again, I thought the remake, in my personal opinion, I think the remake was actually pretty solid. And then Evil Dead came out, and honestly, I was actually rather surprised. I actually enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, of course, the one thing I have to say is the remake is it does not have any of the black comedy the original film has. It has none. I mean, the original Evil Dead has very, very little black comedy, aside from the not so great. Some of the acting is not some of the best, but either way, it does have its black comedy moments. The remake, on the other hand, has none, has no comedy whatsoever. It is straightforward, pure, unadulterated horror. And also, if you thought the gore factor in the original film was hard to handle, wait till you see the remake. It is brutal. All the characters in the film are none of the characters. Like I said, this movie is so unforgiving to its characters, even the ones who don't deserve to get possessed. Literally, this movie is just a painful torture fest to sit through for some people, which I'm not going to lie. And yeah, this one critic said it perfectly. Will absolutely blow you away. But I also had recently attended a film convention with Tom Sullivan, who was the creator of the Necronomicon from the original Evil Dead and designed all the makeup effects. And had a great talk with him, and I asked him what his opinion was on the 2013 film. And he said he didn't really see it as a remake. He actually saw it as a continuation of the 3 original films. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, there's a couple of references. I mean, obviously, Bruce Campbell does make a cameo appearance. The 1973 Oldsmobile that appeared in the original 3 films, it does make an appearance in the remake. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So in some ways, the 2013 Evil Dead, in some ways, is in a way a continuation of the original 3. And in some ways, it's a remake. Well, remake, yeah, like I said, that may not be the best term to describe this movie. It's probably, because like I said, it's not blatantly shot for shot, although there are homages to the original film. There are some shots in the movie that look eerily similar to shots in the original film. There's also dialogue that is mentioned in not only the original, but also in Evil Dead 2. And there's also a couple of scenes in the movie that feel like they were taken right out of Evil Dead 2. So, in a way, this movie is sort of like well, what's the best way? Maybe revisioning, I guess? Maybe revision's the best word to describe Evil Dead, probably. Because I've been told by many people that there are major differences between the terms remake, reboot, reimagining, revisioning, but to me, I feel like they all kind of mean the same thing. I mean, you took the original Evil Dead, you basically took the original Evil Dead, and you basically just came up with a new story, a new concept, but through things that, obviously fans would recognize in the original film into the new movie to try to help sell it better, which, that's what they pretty much did. But either way, though, the 2013 Evil... I'm sorry if I keep calling it remake, because I know some fans will be a little upset about that, but honestly, the 2013 Evil Dead, surprisingly, it actually did very well financially. It was actually more successful than any of the films in Sam Raimi's original trilogy. Which, yeah, by the way, was Sam Raimi even involved with the 2013 film? Yes, he was, actually, along with Rob Tappert, and even Bruce Campbell was involved, too. Now, Bruce Campbell was a bit hesitant to doing the remake of Evil Dead because he was like, really? Because one thing fans complained about the film was that there was no Ash. None of the characters in the film are named Ash. But don't let that deter you. They actually did something a little decent for a change, and honestly, Jane Levy's character of Mia, she really does do a fantastic job. In fact, all the actors that played in the film did a fantastic job. Everybody did. And honestly, in many ways, some of the characters do resemble, like there's a character in the movie that does feel like Ash, but it's really not the character you think it would be. Other than that, I really don't want to give too much away, especially for people that haven't seen the film yet. Oh yeah, and by the way, Evil Dead came out in 2013, and we're in 2023, so we have another Evil Dead film that's celebrating an anniversary. It's 10 years old, believe it or not. Like I said, a couple of the things that fans did criticize the most about the movie was, like I said, many of the critics did criticize about the film was the lack of humor, the overabundance of graphic violence, which, yeah, the original had plenty of, but this movie puts the original to shame with the violence. Oh, yeah. It puts it to shame. And even the gore factor is plentiful, too, as, like I said, the gore effects are just... Not only are they, impressive, but they are also just... Oh, it's like the kind of stuff you just want to turn away from. Literally. It's like, it is, like I said, it's kind of gut-wrenching to watch. There are even a couple of times where I literally had to turn away because I was like, holy, wow. Literally. The movie did get mostly mixed to positive reviews, but the movie was a financial success. It was made on a $17 million budget, which was pretty healthy for a horror film of this quality. And in the States alone, it did gross around $60 million. So the movie was profitable. And actually, no, it was about $54 million, I think. I'm pretty sure that's at least was what I saw on Box Office Mojo. Worldwide, it made about $95 million, close to $100 million, which technically makes it the most successful Evil Dead movie so far. I don't know how well Evil Dead Rise is going to do. I mean, I'm actually going to be seeing it here in a couple of hours, so I can't wait for it myself because it already looks awesome. And that's why I'm doing these reviews right now, so that's why I did the marathon for Evil Dead Rise. So, Evil Dead did pick up a Saturn nomination for its makeup effects, which I'm not going to lie, the Deadite makeup in the film is incredible. The actors that had to be made up, and I kind of felt bad for Jane Levy because of all the stuff she had to perform, like all the stunts, getting in the makeup, doing all the stuff she had to do and whatnot. I kind of felt bad for her, but nonetheless, though, she literally became a great icon of horror thanks to this movie, literally. And that stunned look, that absolute look of shocked horror that she has on her face there on the front cover, that just sums up the movie right there, literally. Evil Dead has been released on home video a couple of times. I initially got the Blu-ray, the Sony Blu-ray, which is great. This is actually the second one I've owned. Actually, this is the third one because I had to buy another copy because the disc became defective. And the second disc I bought actually came with a bonus DVD with additional bonus features. And I ended up buying this third version, which contained an unrated cut of the film, which hard to believe the unrated cut even happened because the theatrical version was graphic and violent enough. I'm like, oh my god, there's an unrated cut. So inside here is here's the theatrical release on Blu-ray, and I have to be careful here because these Blu-rays, this little thing is like it's so easy to pop out. But this disc here has the unrated cut, and here's the bonus disc that was actually included. I think this is either a Best Buy or a Target exclusive Blu-ray DVD that contains maybe like I don't know about maybe one or two additional featurettes in the making of the film, which is pretty weird. But and also Shout Factory recently put Evil Dead on as a collector's edition as 4K. So, but the only major difference with that one is the 4K release. That's about it. It doesn't offer anything new in the way of extras. Maybe one or two things. But so anyway, the video quality. I did watch the unrated cut, but for last night I decided to pop in the theatrical version just for the heck of it. And honestly, the theatrical. Oh yeah, and there's the as you can see I like that. It's pretty cool. The theatrical version, all I gotta say is it looks really amazing on Blu-ray. Every detail, all the gore effects come out beautifully, and yeah, like I said, it looks fantastic. I would say out of 5 stars, definitely gets a 4.5 for the video. Not really much to complain there. As for the audio, it's present. By the way, Evil Dead is presented in 239x1, making this the first Evil Dead movie to be filmed in Panavision. All the other Evil Deads were shot, like I said, the original was in full frame but matted into widescreen. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness were both in widescreen, so. But Panavision, which is like I said, a wider ratio, and this is the first Evil Dead movie to be shot in that format. And honestly, like I said, the Panavision format looks really good. As the audio, it's presented in only one track, 5.1 DTS, unfortunately. And honestly, it sounds great. It sounds just as good as the movie looks, in some ways better. I mean, horror films are best at having loud audio tracks, and this one does not disappoint. Detail around, the dialogue comes out perfectly, there's even a couple of audio sound cues that were even used from the original film that are thrown in with the movie perfectly, especially when Mia becomes possessed. And you can easily hear, a phrase from the original Evil Dead where it's like the others before you, one by one we will take. If you listen very carefully, you'll be able to hear that right before Mia says the phrase, "You're all going to die tonight." Yeah, you'll be able to hear that, which is pretty cool. So, honestly, it works out very well. So the audio out of 5 stars, I'd say also gets a solid 5 out of 5. I mean, the video, well, not a 4.5 out of 5 like the video, but the audio is definitely better than the video itself. So honestly, audio is perfect. As for the bonus material, unfortunately, the extras are only included on the theatrical Blu-ray. The unrated cut Blu-ray that is on the back here, unfortunately, it does not have any bonus features. Maybe say for like a trailer, but other than that, that Blu-ray comes with nothing. The theatrical cut has all the bonus features. And so what's included on here is actually not bad. It's not the biggest selection of extras, but it's still a pretty decent amount. Now, this is not the same back artwork as the standalone initial release by Sony, but the commentary does include director Fede Alvarez, and it includes at least 3 of the stars from the movie. It has a commentary with Jane Levy, Lou Taylor Pucci, and I believe Jessica Lucas, who all participate in the commentary. And it's actually fun to listen to as they all talk about the movie and, what gave them the inspiration to make Evil Dead. Well, from what I remember, Sam Raimi actually was wanting to do another Evil Dead movie, but then he decided, well, let's reboot it. And Rob Tappert agreed. Bruce Campbell was kind of hesitant at first because he was like, there's only one Ash, and that's him. So naturally, Bruce Campbell. But then when he learned that Ash wasn't going to be in the film, he was like, oh, okay, never mind then. And apparently, at that point, they discovered Fede Alvarez from a short film he did that apparently they were so impressed with that they ultimately got him on board to come up with the concept. And surprisingly, Fede Alvarez brought an interesting, fresh approach to the saga of Evil Dead. And honestly, it worked very well. Also included are 5 behind-the-scenes featurettes. We get Making Life Difficult featurette, which is obviously, the shooting locations, going back to a cabin in the woods, that kind of stuff. Directing the Dead featurette, obviously making the actors, become dead and becoming deadites. Being Mia featurette, it's obviously with Jane Levy, as she talks about, playing not just, the regular Mia, but also the possessed Mia. And Jane Levy has admitted in interviews that working on the Evil Dead movie was not a fun experience. She went through so much during the production of that film. Unleashing the Evil Force featurette, again, Evil Dead, the reboot featurette. Like I said, these featurettes all go into detail on the making of the film, like every single look of the film. The production design, casting the actors, making the actors up into their deadite form, and the gore effects. Basically, also talking about their experiences, how did they get involved with the movie, and if they were knowledgeable about the Sam Raimi's original trilogy. Also included is the theatrical trailer. And the unrated cut, by the way, is actually a bit longer than the theatrical version. It's about 97. It's about 6 minutes longer than the theatrical version, and it does include not just new gore, not just additional gore effects, but also full-on extra scenes that are included. So there's I don't want to go into detail because is the unrated cut worth watching? Actually, yes, it is. That is, if you can stomach it, like I said. So overall, for the bonus material here, I would say out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. This is actually not a bad batch of material, and it's nice to see a Sony Blu-ray actually come with a commentary. A lot of their Blu-rays really don't have that. So it really is nice to see a commentary on the Blu-ray just for once. So honestly, the unrated cut you can get on Blu-ray separately. I don't know I think it's a bit more expensive than buying the film separately by itself. The 4K version is going to be a bit more because 4K is a bit more expensive, and it's by Shout Factory, so naturally it's going to be a bit more expensive to get a hold of. But I'm perfectly happy with the Sony Blu-ray because it has all the stuff you could possibly want for the movie. The movie disc, the theatrical version does come with a nice, decent selection of extras, and only the extras are on the theatrical disc. And as I said, in this case right here, I have a bonus third disc, which is a DVD that contains a couple of additional featurettes on the film. One of them, I think, is has an interview with Bruce Campbell as he, talks about, wanting to remake Evil Dead and, and whatnot. But honestly, I think the 2013 Evil Dead is a welcoming entry to the 3 original Sam Raimi movies. It's a welcoming entry, and it definitely deserves to be among them. Even though it is entirely different compared to Sam Raimi's original trilogy, because his trilogy was nothing but full of black humor, had loads of it. The 2013 film did not have any of that. But you know what? It doesn't make it a terrible film, but sometimes that's what horror films are best at. Sometimes they just don't need the humor, but sometimes they kind of do, to keep the audience intrigued. And, a lot of horror films in the past have done that, and no doubt many of them in the coming future will do that too. And no doubt Evil Dead Rise is going to be like that as well. But nonetheless, I like how it sticks with the charm of the original film. It is no holds barred with the gore effects, and like I said, when I wanted to go see Evil Dead, I kind of knew what I was going in for, but at the same time, I was like, this movie did go into directions even I didn't expect. There are some directions that even the original film didn't go into, but you know what? I think that's what I loved about. That's why, in a way, this is actually a solid remake that actually stands up very well with the original film. Not only that, it was a profitable hit critically and financially. A shame we never actually got a true sequel to it because, the thing is, Evil Dead was originally intended to have a sequel, and in fact, at one point, Sam Raimi actually not only considered doing a sequel to the remake, but he was going to do a sequel to Army of Darkness. And what we got instead was the Ash vs. Evil Dead series, which, I'm actually thankful for. But that's for another review to come soon. So hopefully I'll eventually get around to talking about the Ash vs. Evil Dead series. But until then, I'm perfectly content with what we got here. So honestly, the 2013 Evil Dead, in my opinion, it is definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth watching. But don't be surprised if it feels different compared to the others. But then again, that's what I liked about it. It's not a blatant shot-for-shot remake of the original film. No, it's not. It does offer homages to the other movies, and yet at the same time, it offers something new and a fresh approach to the franchise. So I'm actually glad that this actually got made. And even Fede Alvarez apparently liked working with Sam Raimi because he collaborated with him again on his next film, which was Don't Breathe, which also was a commercial and a critical and financial success. So honestly, the Evil Dead, 2013 Evil Dead, definitely worth a watch. And the Blu-ray is a top-notch disc. Video and audio are great. Extras are great. So honestly, no complaints here. It's perfect. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will continue to do more videos in the days to come. And although this is actually technically, in a way, the final chapter of my Evil Dead video thing, technically no, because eventually I'll do a part 5 when I go to talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead. So anyway, going to see Evil Dead Rise in a couple hours, and I can't wait to see it. I heard a lot of great stuff. Fans have been talking greatly about it. It's been getting rave reviews by critics, and honestly, I cannot wait to see it. So until then, everybody, take care, be safe. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel if you like this content. So, yep, that is it. So, take care.